In the first act, Susan and Harry prepare lunch for Harry's daughter, Michelle, and her friends.
Michelle and her friends are at the aquarium in Brooklyn. They come back here for lunch, then go uptown to the Museum of Natural History.
Susan likes living in New York City.
It's so convenient. I can take the bus to work, or the subway, or a taxi.
Harry lives in the suburbs, but he likes the city too.
The truth is, I'd like to live in the city.
A little later, Harry and Susan talk privately as they wait for the girls to arrive.
They'll be here any minute. Susan, I'd like to continue this conversation later.
What do you suppose they're talking about?
You like living in New York, don't you?
Oh, I love it. It's so convenient. I can take the bus to work, or the subway, or a taxi, and there's so much to do. Lots of movie houses and the theater.
I know what you mean. I'd like to live in the city, but living in New Jersey in the suburbs is better for Michelle. Trees, grass.
There's a lot of good things about suburban living. I grew up in Riverdale, remember? So I know. But as a working woman, I think New York has all the conveniences, including the best tomatoes.
The truth is, I'd like to live in the city. Michelle's the right age. There are lots of things for her here.
You're right, Harry. Today is the perfect example. Michelle and her friends are at the aquarium in Brooklyn. They come back here for lunch, then go uptown to the Museum of Natural History. There's so much for young people to see and do. It's just incredible.
Not just for young people. What about me? I've never been to the aquarium or the Museum of Natural History. Have you?
Oh, yes, Harry. My mother and father often took us somewhere in the city on the weekends. Dad was a busy doctor, but he usually managed to squeeze a Sunday in with Richard, Robbie, and me. I used to love to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Well, I've been there several times, twice with Michelle.
You ought to think about spending more time with Michelle at all the great places in the city.
Well, perhaps you'll help me select some of the great places. And perhaps you'll join us.
Perhaps I will. Well, there we are. All set for lunch, Harry.
Looks inviting. I wish Michelle and her friends would get here. I'm starving, aren't you?
I can't wait to take a bite of the pumpernickel. It smells so delicious. Coming! Who is it?
Michelle, it's us, Susan.
Come in, Michelle, and bring your friends along. We're on the 5th floor. Oh, you've been here before.
Susan, I really appreciate you doing this for Michelle and her friends.
Oh, please, Harry, it's nothing. I'm not just doing it for Michelle. I'm doing it for you.
Thank you.
I'm doing it for us, Harry.
Well, it's important for Michelle to see us together more often. That's true.
It's important for Michelle and me to get to know each other better. That's important for us.
That makes me feel good.
What, Harry? What makes you feel good?
Well, that you care about Michelle, that you care about me, and that you care about us.
Well, Harry, that's because I do. I do care.
They'll be here any minute. Susan, I'd like to continue this conversation later.
Of course, Harry. We'll finish the conversation when they go to the museum.
I'd like that.
So would I.
I like living in the suburbs. But living in New Jersey in the suburbs is better for Michelle. trees, grass. We have a nice house with trees in front of it, and a backyard for Michelle and her friends to play in. It's a quiet neighborhood where people like to take long walks. Yeah, the truth is, I'd like to live in the city. Michelle's the right age. There are lots of things for her here. Like today, for example. Michelle and her friends went to the aquarium in Rubtok. But then they went to the Museum of Natural History. I'd love to go there myself. We could look at the dinosaurs. And Michelle likes the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We went there together. And Susan likes the museum, too. There's lots of things for us to do together in the city. Like going to the South Street Seaport. Oh, we had such a good time there. In Central Park. Oh, what a beautiful ride we took in the park. All those trees and the sunshine. Like the suburbs. Or we could go to the Central Park Zoo. Michelle loves animals. You know, the city has so much to offer, so much for us to do together. Maybe Michelle and I would like it here.